New York Knicks in a world of trouble. Kevin Durant, I'm told, still has not made a decision. The Knicks are still a possibility. But I got to tell you, Live Nation, Rock Nation, the Barclays Center, Prokhorov, and the owner, the Chinese, the owner from China that's got a minority stake but has the option to buy the majority stake or buy the whole team, etc. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts that are going on, and I'm here to tell you something right now. They believe Brooklyn could be just as big, if not bigger, than the Garden ever was. It's Brooklyn. But when you hear about people steering away, do you know the argument that the New York Knicks have right now? There's no other way to slice this. You got minorities, Steve Mills, Scott Perry, GM, head coach David Fizdale. They've been handed the reins by James Dolan. So I guess you can make the argument you have a bunch of African Americans in positions of influence that are going to be running the organization, and that's supposed to be some kind of appealing entity to attract a marquee free agent, the likes of Kevin Durant. But here's the problem. James Dolan is still the man. And when you allow yourself to get in the news for throwing a kid out just for asking you to sell the team, and you make headlines after Kristaps Porzingis gets traded for nonsensical things like that, it taints the franchise. I've heard over the last 24 hours at least 15 times, it's hard to trust Dolan. It's hard to trust Dolan. And these are people that recognize the good that Dolan has done. Dolan's taking care of people. Dolan has been far more generous than has been recorded. He's very philanthropic. He's conscientious when it comes to illnesses and ailments that plague our society, that it plagues humanity. Dolan actually does an awful lot of good things, but he is considered so petulant, so temperamental, that no one really trusts him. And that's why I'm going to go on the record and I'm going to say this. If Kevin Durant ends up not coming to the New York Knicks, I'm going to be the first in line advocating that James Dolan sell the team. I'm going to be first in line. I'm going to advocate that he sell the team, because he will have had enough time to prove that he is simply attached to ineptitude when it comes to the New York Knicks. They'll never go anywhere with him, because they have $74 million in cap space, enough money for 2 max players, to be the New York Knicks franchise, to have decent, competent dudes like a Steve Mills, a Scott Perry, and a David Fizdale running the team. There's only one reason, why you would not come to New York, or you would choose Brooklyn over the New York Knicks. It would be because Dolan is the owner. That would be the only reason. Sean Marks, Kenny Atkinson, fantastic job last season. The job that Sean Marks is doing as the executive for the Brooklyn Nets is something to behold. It's something sensational. He deserves a lot of credit. He really does. They're a better franchise right now. Their culture is better. They were more successful than the Knicks last season. They have a stronger upside from management on down. There is no denying it. But when you talk about coming to New York to talk about anything other than the New York Knicks, there's no way around this. It's an indictment against James Dolan. And if Kevin Durant doesn't end up going to the New York Knicks, and the New York Knicks end up empty-handed in free agency, and I ain't talking about no Jimmy Butler or Tobias Harris in a New York Knicks uniform. I'm not even talking about Kemba Walker, who I love and I think is a star. If you don't get one of them marquee dudes to come to the New York Knicks, I'm done with Dolan. I've given up all hope, because you'll never have a better chance than this. With all of these marquee free agents, I don't want to hear about DeMarcus Cousins. I don't want to hear about Jimmy Butler. To a lesser degree, I don't want to hear about Kemba Walker. I'm talking about Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Kawhi Leonard, or a trade for Anthony Davis. You don't get one of those 4, if not 2 of them, I'm done. I've given up on Dolan. And I'm going to be the first one with my bullhorn yelling that he sell a team. because clearly you're not going to go anywhere with him as your owner, because that's who they're bringing up. Nobody has had a negative word to say about Steve Mills. Nobody has had a negative word to say about Scott Perry. Nobody has had a negative word to say about David Fizdale. Every time you hear critique about the New York Knicks, you hear about the culture, the business end of Madison Square Garden descending its strong, long tentacles down upon the New York Knicks basketball franchise, contaminating it beyond repair, and that has James Dolan written all over it in the eyes of the public. It doesn't matter at this point what the truth is or what is false. The perception is James Dolan is a nightmare. And if that does not change, and Kevin Durant ends up not coming to the New York Knicks, as he's purportedly told them or promised them he would, if that changes, James Dolan's mystique is written all over it. And if that is the reality, I ain't letting it go. I'm not letting it go. I'm telling you that right now. Enough's enough. We have suffered in New York. No, of course we haven't had a title since 1973. But damn it, when Dave Checkers was there and Ernie Grunfeld was his general manager and Pat Riley and Jeff Van Gundy and these boys were their coach. Before that, the Rick Pitino's of the world and others. Guess what? They were competitive. They were climbing in a Patrick Ewing era that went from 85 to about 99. You know what? It was there. And yes, Jordan was standing in the way. And yes, they lied to us by trying to tease us by tweaking their roster, giving us this hint that they could maybe knock off Jordan when all of our heart of hearts knew that that wasn't going to happen. But damn it, at least they were competitive. At least they weren't a laughing stock. At least they didn't embarrass us and make us ashamed to associate ourselves with the New York Knicks brand.